अब हम आपको विश्व धर्म संसद के समारोह का सीधा प्रसारण दिखाने के लिए कलकत्ता ले चलते हैं।
Good afternoon, viewers. Doordarshan Calcutta welcomes you to this special transmission. To observe the centenary year of the historic Chicago address of Swami Vivekananda, the Parliament of Religions 1993 is now being held at the Netaji Indoor Stadium, Calcutta. The President, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, is going to address today's valedictory session. We now take you over to the Netaji Indoor Stadium for the live telecast of this session.
Human affairs. It brought the East and the West closer and made...
Welcome to the valedictory session of the Parliament of Religions 1993. Organized by the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission, this Parliament of Religions commemorates the centenary of the Chicago addresses of Swami Vivekananda. We have seen during the space of 4 intellectually stimulating days how an eclectic mix of scholars, saints and philosophers from all over the globe have delivered papers on the single subject, Swami Vivekananda's concept of harmony, prospects and problems. The guest-in-chief at this concluding valedictory session is the Honorable President of India, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, and the chairman of this session is Mr. M. Ismail, former Chief Justice of the Madras High Court. We join the session during the welcome address by Swami Atmasthananda, General Secretary, Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission.
And shaking off the inertia caused by long foreign domination started its march towards freedom. Swamiji was the first religious leader in India to speak for the poor masses. He visualized a new India arising out of the peasants' cottages, out of the huts of fishermen, out of the slums of cobblers and sweepers. His fiery eloquence stirred the consciousness of thousands of educated Indians and inspired them to dedicate their lives to the service of the country, especially to the service of the poor. At the Chicago Parliament and later on, everywhere in the West, Swamiji projected the image of India as a land of religious freedom, harmony, and peace. There are thousands of people all over the world who still believe in this image of India. Needless to say, it is the duty of every Indian to see that this bright image of his motherland is not tarnished. Swami Vivekananda was too great a phenomenon to be confined within the limits of any country. His contributions to world culture and human welfare are of such great significance that eminent thinkers have described Swamiji as one of the main molders of the modern world. Swamiji's contribution to world culture lay in providing it a total vision of the welfare of humanity. The vision is based on 3 principles: oneness of humankind, oneness of religion, and oneness of the world. The oneness of humankind comes from the fact that the soul in its real nature is divine and all souls are parts of one supreme self. Swamiji looked upon all human progress as the unfoldment of the divinity within. He tried to establish the oneness of all religions on the basis of Sri Ramakrishna's experience that they all led ultimately to the realization of the same goal. Swamiji's concept of the oneness of the world reconciles science and religion and removes the barriers separating the sacred and the secular. In the present Parliament of Religions, we have chosen for our discussion the theme Swami Vivekananda's concept of harmony, prospects, and problems. This has been done in order to focus the attention of all people upon the need for harmony and peace in a society which is being subjected to the forces of disharmony and strife. Nearly 100 scholars from different walks of life have given us the fruit of their years of study, thinking and experience by presenting Swami Vivekananda's message of harmony from different angles of vision. More than 12,000 participants from different parts of the world, united by their common love for Swami Vivekananda and his message, have lent us support on each day, not merely by their presence, but also by the silent, unexpressed power of their souls. In a fast-changing, restless world, torn by violence and religious bigotry, this demonstration of the solidarity of the forces of virtue, harmony and spirituality will certainly serve as a source of inspiration and hope for hundreds of thousands of people. Let us offer the fruit of our collective endeavor to Swami Vivekananda as our centennial homage to his immortal presence. I now conclude with the fervent hope that the little light of understanding, harmony and love that this Parliament has kindled in our hearts will continue to illumine our life's path for years to come. Our best wishes to all of you. Thank you. Welcome.
Speech by Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj, Vice President Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission.
Sisters and brothers, we are celebrating Swami Vivekananda's contribution to the subject of the harmony of religions. All these days we had several meetings and great speakers came and gave us profound ideas. We expect the same today also. It is unfortunate that our country has not yet realized the significance of the contribution of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. How many nations have the blessed privilege to produce such outstanding personalities? What a comprehensive mind and heart you find in Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. They have been praised by our own poets like Tagore, Qazi Nazrul Islam, revolutionary Muslim Bengali poet, and men like Romarola of France. It was Tagore who spoke to Romarola in Europe when he found him interested in India, writing a book on Mahatma Gandhi at that time. He said, if you want to understand India, study Vivekananda. In him, everything is positive, nothing negative. What a beautiful tribute. Today in India we have plenty of negatives, anti. Swamiji is full of positive, for. We need this approach. That is why this celebration of the centenary of the Chicago Parliament has a profound significance for the whole nation. We are passing through a difficult period, and in Swamiji's literature and his life and his example, and in Sri Ramakrishna's own life and teachings, you get such ideas that can help us to banish all these weaknesses in our nation and put it on the road of steady progress and prosperity. Romarula refers to Ramakrishna and Vivekananda in his book on Ramakrishna as the splendid symphony of the universal soul. What a beautiful expression. The splendid symphony of the universal soul. And Qazi Nasrul Islam spoke of Sri Ramakrishna in this beautiful song which he composed on Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, saying, Mandire Masjid de Girjai Pujale Brahma Samashraddhai. You worship God with equal fervor in temple, church and mosque. That is why your name is love and the whole world is attracted to you. Similarly, on Vivekananda, Qazi Nasrul Islam says, Bharate aanile tumi navaved, mochi tile jadi dharmer bhed, jive ishwara abhed atma. You brought a new Veda to India. You wiped away the stain of caste and creed and other distinctions. That is what Swamiji has done. We have yet to go a long way in that direction, but when a person reads Vivekananda literature, he gets an education which no educational institutions can give today. That literature itself is a tremendous source of inspiration, character, clarity of mind, efficiency in action, tremendous love for the people, spirit of service. These are the qualities that will come to a person when he or she reads Vivekananda literature of strength, literature of unity, literature of harmony. The sooner our people read these books, the sooner we can overcome our foibles of today. One of the greatest evils from which we are suffering is erosion of values. All values are gone away and all our progress are obstructed because the people who have a responsibility to raise the nation, they have lost the sense of values, and therefore you find evils like corruption and other things giving us trouble. In Vivekananda literature, he gives us ways and means by which we can develop high character energy by loving the nation, serving the people, feeling one with them. That tremendous patriotic impulse that alone can bring character to us, that alone can make us express ourselves in acts and moods of service. That is the great education that we shall get from Vivekananda literature. Mahatma Gandhi went to Belur Mutt in 1921 during Swami Vivekananda's birthday. With him was Kasturba as well as Maulana Muhammad Ali. There is a beautiful account of it in a book. When they reached the Mutt, the vice president of the mission at that time, Swami Shivananda, he welcomed them and took them to the shrine established by Swamiji for Sri Ramakrishna. Gandhiji entered, Kasturba entered, Maulana Muhammad Ali hesitated whether he is allowed to enter. Swamiji said, please come, you are welcome, all are welcome here. So they all entered, saw what things Sri Ramakrishna had used. Gandhiji touched some of them, he was immensely happy. Then he was taken to Swami Vivekananda's room. There also he saw all the things Swamiji had used. Finally, a lot of people had gathered just on the Ganges side. Though it is a private visit, somehow it became public. And so they all said, Gandhiji, please speak to us. We want to hear you. Then Gandhiji addressed them in Hindi. And that you will find something wonderful. He said, I have not come to preach non-cooperation here. I have come to the place where Swami Vivekananda lived and passed away. I have read his literature very carefully, and after reading them, my love for India became many, many-fold. I want all of you to take something from this place before you go away from here. That is the spirit we need today in India. Love for the nation, love for the people, the common people. All character, energy will come out of that one single thing, love for the people, love for the nation. That's what we have lost during post-independence period. Therefore, when we celebrate this Parliament of Religion Centenary, we remember Vivekananda, and that is just the time that from now onwards we shall not go down, we shall go upwards towards progress and prosperity. That will come through more and more people studying Vivekananda literature, assimilating those ideas and developing that one energy which alone can make every other energy function well, character energy, money energy, natural resources energy. These will become absolutely meaningless if there is no character energy to create real greatness. We are lacking it today. Swamiji constantly emphasized this idea of character, and it comes from manifestation of the divinity that is already within you. You are not this genetic system only. Behind this genetic system, there is something infinite, something pure and holy. The infinite Atman is there in every human being. This, when you begin to manifest, love, compassion, character energy, efficiency of work, all these things will come. It is your inherent right. In every human being it is there. That is the practical Vedanta Swamiji has given to us for helping to make this nation overcome its weaknesses and develop into a powerful nation, powerful for doing good to the world, for giving great ideas to the world, which it has done all through history. That is Amar Bharat, which is our great India, which is still alive, and it is made more alive by the advent of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. Thank you all.
Speech by Mr. George Fremont, Indologist, former Consul General of the Republic of France to India.
His Excellency, the President of India, monks, nuns, and friends. The theme of this speech is about the universalism of Vivekananda's thought. In today's world, where we see coexisting violence and greediness for material wealth of some, with an intolerable misery of the vast majority, where a ruthless struggle opposes fundamentalists and liberals within the great religions in Europe and other continents, what remains of the teachings of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda? Swami Nikhilananda, in his biography of Vivekananda, explains that Vivekananda remained faithful to the teachings of, quote, a global Hinduism from the high-soaring lyricism of Vedaism to the inferior idolatries of multiple mythologies, the agnosticism of Buddhists, and the atheism of Jains. At the end of the 19th century, India was plagued by terrible famines. Vivekananda's soul was torn apart. He recalled the forceful words of his master Ramakrishna: religion is not for empty stomachs. He wanted for his humiliated people, quote, a religion that give us faith in ourselves and respect from others, the power to nourish the famished, to overcome misery, and to improve the conditions of the masses. If you want to find God, serve man. He goes on to say, the reading of the Veda, the practice of meditation, leave them, let them be for a next life. This body today must be devoted to the service of others. Soon he founded a universal religion. The great French writer Romain Rolland, who won the Nobel Prize in 1915, in his biography of Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, characterizes his thought by the expression universal gospel. Universal religion unifies all beliefs from the animism of primitive people to the theories of modern sciences. Hinduism for him remains the mother of all religions. Hinduism has bequeathed to humanity these two precepts: accept one another, understand each other. In his speech entitled Essay on Hinduism that he pronounced on the 19th September 1893, he declared, quote, the divine is in all religions, unquote, and again, be inspired by the Buddha of Buddhists, by the Jehovah of Jews, by the Celestial Father of Christians. In his address at the final session on the 27th September, he proclaimed the great principle of mutual acceptation. Quote, the Christian is not to become a Hindu, nor the Hindu or the Buddhist a Christian, but each one must assimilate the spirit of others without ceasing to maintain his individualism and to develop according to his own laws. Holiness, purity, charity are not the exclusive possessions of any one church in the world. Every faith has produced men and women who are sublime examples of humanity. In what measure does the universalism of Vivekananda remain meaningful in the present times? In our world torn apart by exclusions and the refusal to understand others, by bloody conflicts between nations and religions, Vivekananda teaches us how to accept the other with all his differences, without, however, giving up the identity of each group. He preaches peace, whereas men make war, as we can see in certain regions of Europe, Africa, or Latin America. For all these reasons, the universalist thought of Vivekananda appears to me to be more necessary, more valid now than it was in the last century. Thanks.
Speech by Swami Prabhananda, Assistant Secretary, Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission.
Rashtrapati Ji Dr. Sharma, Rajyapal Shri Reddy, Chairman Mr. Ismail, and other dear admirers of Swami Vivekananda. Many of you may not be knowing that Swami Vivekananda prided himself on introducing himself as the Calcutta boy. The largest parliament of religions is being held in the city of Calcutta to commemorate the centenary of the Calcutta boy's historic addresses before the 1893 World Parliament of Religions held in Chicago. Hailed as the star of the parliament, the Swami had proclaimed before the representatives of 16 religions the gospel of harmony. I hope you remember on this day, 100 years ago, Swamiji read out the paper on Hinduism. In fact, the paper was on harmony from the perspective of Hinduism. His master, Sri Ramakrishna, used to say, he is indeed a real man who has harmonized everything. Swami Vivekananda was one such real man. Very aptly, Romerola summed up Vivekananda's creative genius in two words, equilibrium and synthesis. Harmony was the main theme of his mission. In fact, he breathed the spirit of harmony. 100 years later, the Second World Parliament of Religions was held in Chicago between 28th of August and 4th September 1993, with representatives of more than 125 religious groups, and reiterated Swami Vivekananda's call for harmony and peace. Sri Ramakrishna's experimental verification on the truth of God in various religions culminated in his unique discovery of religious harmony. He made the cryptic statement, as many faiths, so many paths, profound in content and depth. This thought wave of religious harmony rising at Dakshinesha led to a quiet revolution that took place across India at the turn of the century. It was a call to a new way of thinking about all religions, not simply a call for any particular religion, but a call for fellowship of faiths. The wave swept over the first Parliament of Religions when the world was hardly prepared to appropriate the grand message of harmony. But it created robust optimism. It provided promise of an enduring solution to religious strifes through dialogue. It gave birth to interfaith movement. Nonetheless, during the intervening period of 100 years, this world of ours has witnessed a big change. Man has almost conquered his external nature. He is virtually its master, but he continues to remain a slave to his internal nature, to his puny ego, with a very limited vision. Today, man looks smaller indeed. He has yet to learn to live a true man's life. Also, he has to learn to live in peace with his neighbors, individuals, and communities. On one side, the world has shrunk to a global village. On the other, traumatic experiences of two world wars, threat of atomic warfare, ecological imbalance, increasing gulf between the haves and the have-nots, etc., have made men restive. The Human Development Report 1993 of the UNO informed 90% of the world's people have no control over their lives, in spite of the recent changes around the world favoring market economies, multi-party democracies, and grassroots activities. Disappointment and anxiety are writ large on human faces all around the world. During these years, religions could not play their roles. Religion still continues to be misused by vested interests for their political ends. Against this backdrop, we have to consider Swami Vivekananda's concept of harmony. Here, harmony means agreement in relation. Philosophy as well as science strive for unity in the attempt to comprehend the diversity of things under general principles or laws. In this search, some went so far as to deny multiplicity of things and try to foist some form of monism. Interestingly, the 9th verse of the Ishopanishad tells, quote, "Into a blind darkness they enter who are devoted to avidya, but into a greater darkness they enter who engage in vidya." Shankaracharya, in his commentary, considered 4 probable interpretations of vidya and avidya. However, vidya in general means knowledge of Brahman, providing a vision of convergence or unity, whereas avidya means ignorance, leading to multiplicity, diversity, variations, etc. The mantra seems to suggest that unification should not be overemphasized at the cost of diversity, for our seers had discovered that diversity in the creation was not simply a fact, but necessary for individual growth and freedom. In fact, they put as much faith for unity as for diversity. Consequently, they shunned uniformity and homogeneity and advocated unity in diversity, allowing each to grow and flourish. This outstanding feature of Indian culture has been beautifully pointed out by Rabindranath Tagore in his poem Bharat Tirtha. Viewed from another perspective, some religions of the world seem to have favored exclusivism, whereas some others have promoted inclusivism. Some others showed a preference for pluralistic inclusivism. Contrary to this, religious pluralism acknowledges the vast range and complexity of differences apparent in religious practices, but at the same time encourages one to accept the major streams of religious experience and thought as embodying different awareness of one ultimate reality. Sri Ramakrishna welcomed religious pluralism. A true hermeneutician in his practice of religious discipline, he upheld the value and sanctity of each tradition. He discovered that God was the golden thread which held together the diverse religions to form a garden, as it were. To promote religious harmony, he exhorted everybody to mix freely with others, when in their company to be one with them and never to harbor malice towards them. But he insisted that in his personal spiritual practice, he must follow the discipline that was prescribed for him. As his master's voice, Swami Vivekananda preached the doctrine of harmony, but from a wider perspective. He wanted men to learn to live in harmony with nature, internal and external. In his perception, harmony existed among the arts, science, and religion. His was creative genius, and it was all pervasive. He said the divinity within is the common thread among all the human beings, be they Hindus, Mohammedans, Christians, Sikhs, tribals, or untouchables. Dogmas, sects, temples count for little compared with the essence of religion, that is manifestation of divinity in man, which is otherwise described as realization of God. Swami Vivekananda believed that the religions were not contradictory or antagonistic, they were rather supplementary. He denounced patronizing tolerance of another man's belief. But he emphasized that here acceptance does not mean conversion into another religion. Swamiji wanted that everybody of a religion must assimilate the spirit of the others and yet preserve his individuality and grow according to his own law of growth. In a multi-religious society, one has to appropriate and assimilate the spirit of other religions and convert them to suitable nutrients, as the plant converts air, water, etc. as plant substance, and grow according to his own law of growth. A truly religious person cannot be dogmatic. He keeps the windows of his religious life open, allowing other religions to blow freely, but making sure that he could hold his own. This approach helps a Hindu to become a better Hindu, a Muslim a better Muslim, and a Christian a better Christian. This doctrine of harmony has immense potential for changing the destiny of mankind for the better. Though shrouded by thick clouds of challenging problems, the overall prospect is bright. This doctrine of harmony seems to be the only real solution which will be acceptable to all religious communities. We, the admirers of Swami Vivekananda, should respond to the great call given by the Swami at the Parliament of Religions, and we, the Indians, have a special responsibility. And I believe we shall succeed in our endeavor with the guidance and blessings of Swami Vivekananda, which he had promised. Namaskar.
Speech by Dr. R.B. Rybakov, Deputy Director, Institute of Oriental Studies, Moscow.
Rashtrapati Dr. Sharma, respected monks, nuns, sons and daughters of Swami Vivekananda, citizens of Kolkata, the city of, I wouldn't say joy, I would say Ananda, the blessed. First of all, I want to express our deepest thanks to President Maharaj of Ramakrishna Order, to the General Secretary Maharaj, to Vice President Maharaj, and of course to the convener of our Parliament of Religions, Swami Lokeshwarananda Ji Maharaj, for giving us the opportunity and possibility to come here and to participate in this very eventful meeting of people from all towns and cities of India, from different places of the world. Thank you. I want, as I happens to be one of the last speakers, on behalf of all who came here, I want to thank those people, I mean volunteers, who did their best to make us happy here. Thank you. And we are happy. We are happy because we are together. We are happy because of the atmosphere. We are happy because we speak one language. This language being not English, I mean the language of Swami Vivekananda. Some outsiders, they probably can still ask us some questions. And the question number one, what is that harmony you are talking about? What harmony can you find in this world, violent, intolerant, full of crimes, criminal world actually? Well, the simplest answer would be read Vivekananda. But probably we can say that if we look into cosmos, we see the harmony, we hear the harmony, we feel the harmony of cosmos. If we look onto the nature, we also find the harmony there, in case this harmony was not spoiled by the most cruel animal, the man. And only if we turn to the world of men, we really find that harmony is hardly exist. We no harmony in relations between men and men, men and women, the grown-ups and children, between old and new, between nation and nation, and what is probably the most important, inside the man himself. There is no harmony. So again, Vivekananda shows us the aim. Vivekananda shows us the path. There could be the second question. What is that Vivekananda you are talking about? Is that monk who came to Chicago 100 years ago? 100 years, it's a very long time. Everything had been changed. The political map is different. There are no those states, those kings lost their crowns. That things which surrounded him do not exist, probably only in museums. Those people, they are all gone. But why, I ask you, why we put Vivekananda somewhere in the past? Vivekananda is never in the past, he is always in the future. And mind, Vivekananda is always young. Young not because he spent his life as a lightning, as a fire, but because he was always young in his spirit. And mind, Vivekananda is always free. Vivekananda, coming from the colonial country, Vivekananda, you will never suspect that he was not free. He was always free, and forever free. And another thing about Vivekananda, we must put him into the future. We must go there from where he is calling us. But whom us? Only India? No. I remember one of the speakers, I think from Germany, said that he never understands Vivekananda as a foreigner. And that is true. I think to which country you will not go, everywhere you will find Vivekananda is at home. And everybody is at home with Vivekananda. And probably it would be rather politically unwise, Mr. President, but I'll say that in Russia, in a very difficult situation in which we have now, I would like more people to know about Vivekananda, including the President of Russia and other peoples of power. And actually, whatever we find in books and speeches of Vivekananda, it is very applicable to Russian situation now. And we are sure that it will help us to get out of that strange situation in which we are now, and become the great country we are and we were. And now, the last question which could be asked, what is the religion you are talking about? Is it Hinduism? But then look to India. You have communalism, you have Ayodhya. What Hinduism you are preaching? Or you are preaching Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, or other religions? Or you are preaching some sort of new religion of Vivekananda? Well, probably yes, Hinduism. Yes, well, but I repeat that, if we are talking about communalism, there is no such thing as Hindu communalism or Muslim communalism. There is un-Hindu communalism and un-Muslim communalism, no other communalism. But I think that there is a really wonderful expression in which you can find the whole Indian culture, the whole message of Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna, and actually the message to the whole world, and this is unity in diversity. In case you apply this principle, the main principle, to all spheres of life, that will lead you to a better world. You will live better and you will become better. But for this, we must go to the youth, to the young people. And as we understand And we are doing it now. You saw this morning 2 books published recently, in recent months in our country. We are very thankful to Ramakrishna Mission because they sent us one of their most senior monks, Swami Jyotirupananda, who is working now in Moscow and with a great success. And he has an open heart, and this open heart welcomes different Russians, even those who probably never knew before about Shri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. But that is spreading of the highest knowledge. And it started and it goes, and Ramakrishna Mission has a permanent place and a permanent shrine now. And we are very thankful for the humanitarian aid which was sent to us from Belur and from Kolkata. And I want to say one thing. Do you know where we distributed this humanitarian aid? It was distributed in the house of Leo Tolstoy, where his museum is now. And people came there to receive this aid from the hands of Indian Swami under the roof of the house of Leo Tolstoy. And we think that, and we started this work. Besides this, the introducing of new system of education, this is very important. There is not a place, not a time to talk about this in details. Whoever is interested, please come to me. I'm still in Calcutta in International Guest House of Ramakrishna Mission. I'll tell you in details. But we are starting the new system of education. Of course, not eliminating the old system. You still should know how to add 2 to 3. But we are making the parallel system of spiritual knowledge. And that means introducing of new science of religion, new science of history, new science of art. And of course, the completely new science, the science of man. And I'm sure this is in the line of thinking of Swami Vivekananda. And of course, the new social program. For this, we need cooperation and we need information. And that's why we are uniting now different spiritual organizations and associations of our country in one spiritual movement, which is united not around some personality. It is around some principles of the highest truth. It is not for speeches, it is for constructive work. That is extremely important, the constructive work. And here we also have the wonderful example of Ramakrishna Mission, of Narendrapur, of slums, of Blind Boys Academy. And that is what we want to show to our people, for them to take these lessons and to proceed in our country. Swami Lokeshwarananda Ji Maharaj, I want to make a formal proposal. You see, it's really a pity if we all gathered here and now this Parliament of Religions is coming to the end. And so what? We go back home. But let us consider our Parliament of Religions as a permanent body. And let us, I don't know, designate a sort of executive board here in Kolkata on the basis of Institute of Culture, of representatives of different religions, but not only religions, because what we call religion of Swami Vivekananda is comprising all religions, all the good what is in these religions, but also the religion and science, ethics, aesthetics, and so on. It is spirituality of the mankind. So let us have the executive board, which will cooperate all the activities in different countries, which will not dictate, but it will inform all participants about these activities. And just at the end, would you permit me to address on your behalf one person who, apart from those mentioned before, is primarily responsible for bringing all of us here. Most revered and most beloved Swami Vivekananda ji, we feel your presence in our life, in our world, in this very hall. Please guide us from darkness to the light, from lower truths to the highest truths, and to the world of the universal harmony.
Speech by Professor Sabyasachi Bhattacharya, Vice Chancellor, Vishwabharati, Santiniketan.
Friends, 100 years ago, on the 19th of September, Swami Vivekananda made his presentation of the paper on Hinduism. It was a speech which would reverberate around the world, and numerous commentaries have been made on the few words then uttered. And yet, as this centenary celebration draws towards its conclusion, we may question ourselves whether we have fully realized the significance of that moment, that effort to reconstruct Hinduism. I believe we have to go beyond mere emotional fuzziness to ask and to answer that question. From the long view of history, that day and hour holds an import that may not be clear from the text of the proceedings at Chicago. The import becomes clear only when you consider the context, the historical conjuncture, and ask, why did Vivekananda's speech create such an impact? The answer is not easy to find. After all, Vivekananda's was not the first exposition of its kind in the Western world. One can recall, for instance, Raja Ram Mohan Roy or Keshab Chandra Sen, or at Chicago itself, Reverend Dharampal or P.C. Mazumdar and others. Thus, Vivekananda's celebrated success was not due to the chronological accident of being the first on the scene. Second, the message of classical Hindu texts was no longer new in the West when he went to Chicago. For about a century preceding, the Orientalist scholars had translated many Sanskrit texts so as to allow Western people access to those texts. He might have construed those texts in his own fashion, but they had been construed before. Thus, novelty was not the reason why his speech produced such an impact. A third possible explanation, leaving aside the charismatic personality of Vivekananda, which is beyond question, may be that his Chicago speech marked the beginning of an initiative that fructified into a missionary and ideological movement of vast proportions. It is perfectly true that the speech did mark such a beginning, but then that is known to us only by virtue of our historical hindsight. It could not have been self-evident to Vivekananda's contemporaries. Therefore, we see that these explanations are inadequate. They cannot fully explain the impact of that speech on the contemporary mind. Perhaps we have to seek an explanation in the historical conjuncture when the speech was delivered. Consider the years preceding 1893 and see how Western dominance of the world became visible in a series of events. In Indochina, Cambodia, Ethiopia, Rhodesia, South Africa, Uganda, Nigeria, Egypt, and many other parts of Africa, Western domination was firmly established in the 5 years preceding 1893. In fact, the conference itself was a part of the Columbian Exposition of 1893 in the year following the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's discovery of America, bringing about Europe's penetration and domination in the American continent. It is interesting to note that Vivekananda said on the 19th of September, I quote, "We who have come from the East have sat here day after day and have been told in a patronizing way that we ought to accept Christianity because Christian nations are most prosperous. We look about us and we see England, the most prosperous nation in the world, with her foot on the neck of 250 million Asiatics. We look back into history and see that the prosperity of Christian Europe began with Spain. Spain's prosperity began with the invasion of Mexico." In these and other words, we see the historical perspective of Vivekananda, and they contain a clue to his impact on his generation. He personified independent critical thinking in defiance of Western dominance, and this is equally clear from the numerous felicitation messages which he received after his Chicago performance. In his own speeches, Vivekananda emphasized the intrinsic merit of the Vedantic outlook, but to the common citizen in this country, the confrontation with the West had a significance other than that of spiritual discourse. In this context, one must also remember two other historical facts. One, racism, which Vivekananda personally experienced and of which we have other records in his biography. And second, the concerted Christian effort to assert Christian superiority in the Chicago Conference. I shall not elaborate on the first point, but on the second, it is worthwhile remembering how on September 19th itself, the day Vivekananda spoke on Hinduism, the air was thick with invectives, speeches on the superiority of the Christian faith. By way of a reply to the Christian missionary effort to belittle other religions, Vivekananda spoke on the 10th day of the Chicago Conference. I just quote one or two sentences. "You Christians who are so fond of sending out missionaries to save the soul of the heathen, why do you not try to save their bodies from starvation? They ask for bread, we give them stone. It is an insult for a starving people to offer them religion. It is an insult to a starving man to teach him metaphysics." Vivekananda rarely took such a contestatory position, but the historical conjuncture, the resentment of the oppressed peoples in two continents under Western dominance, the emotional reaction to Western racism, the resistance of old civilizations of the East to aggressive Christian missionary zeal, the entire historical conjuncture assigned to Vivekananda a contestatory position. It was his ability to hold his own in this position which accounts for his celebrated success at the Chicago Parliament. The greatness of Vivekananda was his ability to rise above the contest between religious faiths. In his major speech on Hinduism, he focuses on universalities to rise above particularities. I conclude with a quote which repeats the message his speech began with. He said, in conclusion, "If there is ever to be a universal religion, it must be one which will have no location in place or time, which will not be Brahminic or Buddhistic, Christian or Mohammedan, but the sum total of all these, and still have infinite space for development. It will be a religion which will have no place for persecution or intolerance in its polity, which will recognize divinity in every man and woman." This humanist universalism accounts for Vivekananda's enduring influence. The historical context I have tried to analyze explains in part his success in his mission in September 1893. But his real success lay in his ability to rise above the historical constraints of the times. It is given to few to overcome history, and he was one of them. Thank you.
Address by the Governor of the State.
Esteemed Rashtrapati Ji, respected Madam Vimala Sharma Ji, Chairman Justice Ismail Ji, Swami Ranganathananda Ji, Swami Lokeshwarananda Ji, and Swami Atmasthananda Ji, distinguished scholars, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Man has made progress in several directions, especially in the field of science and technology. He has landed on the moon, probably not in a distant future, he may land on Mars. And world has developed in various respects, but still the world is faced with crisis after crisis of conflicts, bigotry, religious fundamentalism. These are all the diseases that are spreading in the world. And ultimately, all the pathology of it can be traced to the crisis value system and the values that should abide. I cannot do better than quoting Swami Vivekananda Ji on this occasion. Swami Vivekananda Ji said, "Who will give the world light? Sacrifice in the past has been the law. It will be alas for ages to come. The earth's bravest and best will have to sacrifice themselves for the good of many, for the welfare of all. Buddhas by 100 are necessary with eternal love and piety. What the world wants is character. The world is in need of those whose life is one of burning love, selfless. The love will make every word tell like a thunderbolt." Unquote. I think what Vivekananda Ji had said is would be highly inspiring even today, and for rebuilding a new world, a new society of harmony. We will have to resurrect value system, and a new Indian Renaissance is necessary for that purpose. And there is not much time to be lost. And as Martin Luther King had said, tomorrow is today, unquote, and we will have to act now in the living present immediately. Thank you very much.
Mr. M. Ismail, the chairman of the valedictory session, will now deliver his speech. After his speech, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, the Honorable President of India and the guest-in-chief of this session, will address. Mr. M. Ismail, the chairman.
Respected Rashtrapati Ji, the Governor of the State, Mrs. Sharma and Mrs. Reddy, the honored colleagues on the platform, the venerable and revered Swamijis of Ramakrishna Math and Mission, and the learned scholars from abroad, and my brothers and sisters. It is a great honor and a privilege that have been conferred upon me by the organizers of this function to preside over the valedictory session. In fact, I may say that there cannot be a greater or firmer evidence of the success and fulfillment of the life and mission of the Swami Vivekananda than the fact that I have been chosen to preside over the valedictory function of this Parliament of Religions. I have been an admirer of Swami Vivekananda from my childhood onwards, from the picture I have seen of the majestic stature in which he was shown at the time when he addressed the Parliament of Religions in Chicago 100 years ago. Ever since I have started reading the literature, I myself started trying to find out the basis of the message of the great Master as to the unity of the religion and the universality of the creature. I deliberately using the word the universality of the creature because if even from an ordinary common sense point of view, no man or no creature comes into existence with this world in a process and manner different from any other. And consequently, it is an axiomatic to say that there is an inherent universality in the entire creation of the world, and therefore there is one single spirit that pervades the entire universe. The spirit may be one for the first time for a person, for a learner, narrow, but the spirit exists in the whole of the creation and the whole of the universe. This fact has been asserted repeatedly, not merely by Swami Vivekananda, in all his lectures during the 5-year period when he toured America and Europe and India, but it also has been asserted in all the religious books that have gone earlier. That is the reason why the Swamiji had repeatedly endeavored to say that the spirituality and the message of the Lord to his creation is a continuous process. There is without there being any beginning or there being any end. Over and above that, all of us happen to believe in one fact, starting with the fact that God is one, truth is one, Ekam Sat. Once you say Ekam Sat, whether you call that Sat by whatever name, the Sat continues to be what it is. Nobody can change its character, nobody can change its nature. If that be the case, the creation also continues to be one creation, that is the creation of the cosmic and the essential basic spirit from which all the other creatures emanate. For instance, if within heart of hearts we do not feel that the spirit does not exist. It is only a question of concept. If you believe in the concept, there is something in it, otherwise not. Swami Vivekananda said, God is nearer to ourselves than ourselves are. That is exactly what the Holy Quran stated, that God is nearer to you than the jugular vein of your body. That is, if he is nearer to you than even the jugular vein of the body, it is only your heart. There is spirit within you, the soul within you is God and nothing beyond that. If it is a question of searching for God from outside, it will be very difficult to find. In fact, in most of the cases of Muslims, you would have found during the time of prayer, some of them put up their hands upwards. It has been objected to, but the correct and proper method of holding your hands, if at all, is towards your chest. The reason is, if you spread your hands upwards, it will wrongly give an indication that God is only in the heaven, nowhere else. But on the other hand, when you put your hand towards your own heart, that means God lives in your heart and nowhere else. If God lives in every man's heart, then God lives everywhere, and each one of us has the divinity of, an element of the divinity of the eternal, cosmic, endless, immaculate, undying, deathless spirit. If I can give one small illustration which we can verify from our daily practice, when there is no air in the tire which we are using in the car, what we do is trying to fill it with the car, fill it with the air. And once, sometimes somebody, by reason of mischief or by accident, there is a puncture, the air comes out. With the result, the air or the spirit, which was universal, undivided, incapable of being divided, got separated or appeared to be separated by the intervention of the contours of the tire or a balloon, as the case may be. And the moment the shape of the balloon goes, or the tire is deflated, the entire air is single one without there being any interruption or severance between the two. That is exactly the relationship between the conscious and the universal spirit and our own spirit. Do not think in any way as inferior to anyone. Swami Vivekananda was always speaking about the suppressed people, not the repressed people. The suppressed people means certain other people have suppressed them, not they themselves by birth are depressed. But that suppression he wanted to put an end to. That was the mission of his life. That was the mission of his movement. That is one reason why the Ramakrishna Math and mission were established for the purpose of helping the poor people, people in distress, people are afflicted by natural calamities, either by earthquake or by storm or cyclone, in whichever part of the world, irrespective of the religion to which they owe allegiance. The Ramakrishna Math and mission is the first to go in to their further succor and help and relief. That very practical demonstration arises from the basic fact, as I pointed out already, from the assumption, from the belief, from the consciousness that the universal spirit is one, and there is no question of that spirit being split up into different things. Arjuna, Krishna, in his advice to Arjuna, said only this: you are saying that you are going to kill your grandfather, your guru, and your relations, but you are not going to kill them. Their body will die. Even if you do not kill them, the body will die somehow or other. But what you cannot kill, what you cannot put an end to is the spirit in them, and that spirit is eternal and immaculate and immanent. And that being the case, this message of Swami Vivekananda throughout has been to universalize the philosophy and the principles and the career and character, nature of all the beings in the world. That message is still continues to be valid. That message requires to be emphasized, having regard to the frequent interruption of malicious forces and wishes and desires on the part of a few individuals. If this conference can be of any use, or can be of any validity, can be of any utility in removing and putting an end to that temporary malicious or madness that makes its appearance frequently, putting an end to this pure consciousness and pure life and pure spirit in the life career form of thousands and millions of people, not only in this country, in every part of the world, that will be the greatest service we can render to the mankind. While thanking again for giving me this opportunity of presiding over this valedictory session, I will request every one of us, the message of Swami Vivekananda is still valid as it was when it was pronounced and delivered, and it is our bounden duty as admirers and followers of Swami Vivekananda to carry on that message to nook and corner of the world and every part of the world. Thank you very much. Now I request our beloved Rashtrapati Diji to deliver his address.
Shri K.V. Raghunatha Reddy, Governor of West Bengal, Dr. Srimati C. Sarojini Reddy, Mr. Justice M. Ismail, Chairman of the Session, Swami Atmasthananda Ji, General Secretary, Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Ranganathananda Ji, Vice President, Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission, Swami Prabhananda Ji, Assistant Secretary, Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission, Swami Lokeshwarananda Ji, Convener of the Committee for celebrating the centenary of the Chicago address of Swami Vivekananda, Mr. George Fremont, former Consul General of the Republic of France to India, Professor Sabyasachi, Bhattacharya, Vice Chancellor Vishwabharati, Dr. R.B. Rybakov, Deputy Director, Institute of Oriental Studies, Moscow, Reverend Swami Sannyasis and Sannyasins, Brahmacharis, brothers and sisters. May I say how happy I am to be associated with this function. I have always looked forward to visiting Bengal and the great metropolis that is Calcutta. Here one breathes in the ambience of the lofty spiritual and intellectual traditions of Bengal, the heritage of art, literature and culture, the enlightened endeavors towards social reform, the heroism and sacrifice during our struggle for freedom, and the resolute advance of the masses manifesting the power of the people in practical tasks of nation building. I thank the Ramakrishna Mission for associating me with this conference, which is more than timely for the world as it is torn asunder by various forces in the world. The vision of Swami Vivekananda has been the subject matter of your deliberations over the last 8 days or so, involving a wide range of distinguished scholars and thinkers from India and abroad. I have pleasure in extending my greetings to all the participants and in expressing my sincere appreciation of their learned contributions. Friends, right from the time when I was a student, I have been deeply moved by the luminance of Swami Vivekananda as reflected by records of his addresses, his letters, prose and poetic writings, his conversations with people, and by words about him by the greatest amongst our national leaders. As has been mentioned, Bapu had visited Belur Mutt on 6 February 1921. The birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. He was accompanied by Pandit Motilal Nehru and Maulana Muhammad Ali. Bapu had said, and I quote, "I have come here to pay my homage and respect to the revered memory of Swami Vivekananda." This is what Bapu said. I have gone through his works very thoroughly, and after having gone through them, the love that I had for my country became 1,000-fold, and fire that flows through Swami Vivekananda. This is what but Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said. And what he said is true for our generation today and the coming generations also. The theme of your conference has been the commemoration of the Chicago addresses of Swami Vivekananda during the Parliament of Religions in September 1893. His participation in that congregation should be seen in the much larger context of what he had set out to do in the aggregate. He had in mind the initiation of an integrated plan of action involving determined endeavor to effect radical and positive change in a number of interconnected areas concerning the human condition in totality. Towards this paramount task, a tremendous sense of purpose and of energy flared from within him. He had exclaimed, and I quote, "I feel a mighty power. It is as if I were about to blaze forth. There are so many powers in me. It seems to me as if I could revolutionize the world." Unquote. At Chicago, in the Parliament of Religions, we know, the world knows, that the impact of his personality, the scintillating brilliance and beauty of his exposition enthralled his audience, and the word traveled far and wide over the telegraph and newspapers in the Western world about his sensational contribution. Amongst others, in that historic assembly, listening in rapt attention to Swami Vivekananda was Dr. Annie Besant. Dr. Besant wrote about the experience thus, I quote, "Enraptured, the huge multitude hung upon his words. Not a syllable must be lost, not a cadence missed," said one. As he came out of the great hall, and this is what that person said coming out of the hall, and this is recorded by Dr. Annie Besant, and we sent, this is what he said, one, as he came out of the great hall, and we send missionaries to his people. It could be more fitting that they should send missionaries to us. This, I said, this is the impact he made 100 years back. In his address, Swami Vivekananda had articulated the ancient wisdom and insights of India, the time-honored philosophy of oneness and harmony within pluralism, the recognition of, respect for, and acceptance of different paths of logical and intuitive access to the absolute truths. He had quoted the famous lines from the Rig Veda, "Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti." The truth is one. The scholars describe it differently. He had quoted the profound perception expressed in a verse from the Vishnu Sahasranama. He said, "Akashat paditam toyam yatha gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskara keshavam prati gacchati." He cited the explicit authority in the 11th verse of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. "Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamiham mam vartanu vartante manushya parth sarvasha." Proudly he had proclaimed, we believe, I quote, "We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true," unquote. It is this spirit that is expressed in the philosophy of our seers, in the devotional songs and the prayers of our common people for centuries past. This outlook has enabled India to become the home and the refuge of all the great religions of the world, respected by the broad mass of our people. Swami Vivekananda had also come out strongly against sectarianism, bigotry, and fanaticism, and had registered the hope that these narrow, futile, and erroneous tendencies would disappear. Every word of his exposition needs to be recalled by us and pondered over. In his subsequent address on 15 September 1893, he explained the causes of narrowness, and in a truly profound address 100 years back on 19 September 1893, he explained many salient features and recesses of the Vedic and Vedantic body of thought and defined the characteristics of a religion whose whole scope, I am quoting, whose whole scope, whole force will be centered in aiding humanity to realize its own true nature, unquote. On 26 September 1893, he provided a masterly exposition concerning the connection between Buddhism and Brahmanism. On 27 September, he foretold the maxims: help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension, as the eventual hallmarks of every religious community. I feel Swami Vivekananda's words concerning the inner onenesses of doctrines of all religions should fully be comprehended by each one of us. Indeed, the identity of thought, the oneness in ethical and moral codes of different religions need to be explained, understood, and absorbed. Every religion, for example, stresses the importance of service. There is a dictum, Sarvashastra Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanam Dhruvam Paropkarastu Punyaya Papaya Parpidanam. That is, he says, amongst all scriptures and Puranas, know this statement of Vyasa to be true, that doing good to others conduces to merit and doing harm to them leads to sin. Compare this with the Christian injunction. I quote, know thou that in the service of thy fellow man do thou serveth me, unquote. And in the Islamic warning, not mere profession of the faith, but good works and service of fellow men is true prayer. There are innumerable such illustrations that could and should be compiled to foster understanding of the mutuality of apparently different religions. In a poem written on 4th September 1893, a week before the Chicago Parliament, Swami Vivekananda had sung, Thou art my God with prophets old, all creeds do come from thee, the Vedas, Bible, and Quran. Bold sing thee in harmony. His effort constantly was to draw attention to the unifying, harmonizing virtue in the religious thought of all the great persuasions. He said, I quote, my idea is first of all to bring out the gems of spirituality that are stored up in our books and in the possession of a few only, hidden as it were, to bring them out, to bring the knowledge out of them. And in one word, I want to make them popular. I want to bring out these ideas and let them be the common property of all, unquote. At the same time, he stressed the essential aspect of religion as he saw it. He said, I quote, religion is neither word nor doctrine. It is deed. It is to be and become. It is the whole soul changed into that which is believed, unquote. In my view, Swami Vivekananda was greater than just a visionary idealist, steeped in religion of the scriptural form. His whole approach was the one dedicated to building a new world, attending to its most vexatious problems, providing solutions of a feasible, workable form. He was acutely conscious of the enormous scale of poverty, backwardness, and disease in the whole world and in India in particular. The abject sense of inferiority among the people of India, the shameful station assigned to women, and the need, therefore, to organize wide-ranging effort to surmount these problems. He once said, I quote, it is an insult to a serving men to teach him metaphysics. It is an insult to a starving man to teach him metaphysics. We need a religion which will give us faith in ourselves, a national self-respect, and the power to feed and educate the poor and relieve the misery around, unquote. Again he says, we have to give back to the nation its lost individuality and raise the masses. Forcefully, inspiringly, he used to say, arise, awake, sleep no more, stop not, till the goal is reached. Within each of you, there is a power to remove all wants and miseries. Believe this, and that power will be manifested, unquote. Often he would quote the popular Sikh saying, Sawa lakh par ek chadham, Jai Guru Govind Naam Sunam. A remarkably modernistic appreciation of the true nature of education and its urgent need in India was also consistently expounded by Swami Vivekananda. In his words, educate, nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. Than this, there is no other way. He exclaimed, a nation is advanced in proportion as education and intelligence is spread amongst the masses. He provided remarkably clear and meaningful definitions of education. He said, what is education? Is it book learning? No. Is it diverse knowledge? Not even that. The training by which the current expression of will are brought under control and become fruitful is called education, unquote. On another occasion, he stated, we want that education by which character is formed, the strength of mind is increased, the intellect expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. The practical, realistic approach is again expressed in the answer he gave once to a question on educational needs in India. He stressed, we need to study, independent of foreign control, different branches of the knowledge that is our own. With it, the English language and Western science. We need technical education and all else which may develop industries so that men, instead of seeking service, may earn enough, unquote. See that these statements have been carefully authenticated and documented. That's why I'm quoting everywhere. It would amaze not a few that these were made about a century ago, and that too by a sannyasi. Swami Vivekananda's advocacy of the uplift of women and the abolition of casteism is also equally noteworthy. He said, the uplift of women, the awakening of the masses must come first, and then only can any real good come about for the country. For India, yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tarta devata. He would quote, meaning the enlightened are pleased, where women are held in esteem. Friends, any objective review of the towering spiritual, intellectual and pragmatic thinking of Swami Vivekananda would evoke an assessment of conditions obtaining in our own time today. Our major problems and prospects and the direct relevance of Swami Vivekananda's teachings toward the solution of many a vexed issue. So far as our own country is concerned, as we look around our country and within, what is that we see? The world is moving forward. A subtle but significant shift is underway in the relations between nations and peoples. Powerful factors of growth and reorganization and change are being manifested. Asia is resurgent, and a new balance is being adjusted, as between the West, the continent of Europe, Asia and Africa. India too must organize herself to surge forward true to her potential. We cannot afford to be caught in a quagmire of antediluvian attitudes, mainly arising from narrow thinking and failure to appreciate the advantages of unity and harmony. Among our major problems is that of communal mindedness. This acts like a powerful poison wherever it is, vitiating the atmosphere, constraining potential for progress, feeding and perpetuating many other ills. The communal outlook is not supported by the doctrine and tenets of any religion. In fact, every religion truly serves the cause of oneness, harmony, understanding, and cooperation. The communal outlook helps none in our country. Not even those who are any misguided purpose may seek to derive advantages to themselves from it. Communalism is the bane of our country and a boon only to forces inimical to India, inimical to human progress. We must realize that this is one problem which is essentially in the hands of the people of our country and its leaders to solve. The eradication of communalism can be achieved by our fortifying our minds against communal thought, word and deed, and by our being determined to resist and to overcome such elements as may persist in pressing communal mindedness on us. If India is to grow to her full potential as a strong, united, prosperous nation, a nation attuned to the highest moral and ethical values, true to the genius of our cultural and spiritual heritage, we shall all have to strive each day to build harmony, justice, and creative endeavor. Indeed, in a very real way, it is our duty so to strive. The youth of our country must be in the vanguard of this mission. Let us recall the stirring words of Swami Vivekananda in Calcutta on his return from America. I quote, "Be strong and everything else will follow. You have to do the task. If I die tomorrow, the work will not die. There will be thousands coming up to take up the work and carry it further and further. I have faith in my country, and especially in the youth of my country. From the youth of Bengal will come the power which will raise India once more to a proper spiritual place," unquote. It is the faith expressed by Swami Vivekananda to the young people, the people of India, people of Bengal in particular, I mentioned because I am speaking Calcutta. Friends, I thank you once again for having invited me to be with you today. I pay my respectful, humble homage to the immortal memory of Swami Vivekananda. May his words guide the human race. Thank you. Yes.
Further thanks by Swami Lokeshwarananda, convener.
Ji, Rajyapal Ji, sisters and brothers. Now that the Parliament of Religions has practically concluded, I, as convener, thank you all on behalf of the Central Committee appointed by the Ramakrishna Mott and the Ramakrishna Mission to organize this Parliament. For 4 days, we have discussed here the role of religion in a multi-purpose, multi-religious society. The speakers were all distinguished scholars belonging to different faiths, but there were also some who were non-believers. What is the conclusion they reached? They did not see anything wrong with religion as such. According to them, religion is truth and compassion. It is peace and harmony. Religion, as Karl Marx said, is the only heart in a heartless world. It is the source of all that is good and beautiful in man. The speakers again and again stressed the need for harmony. What is harmony? Harmony is mutual love and respect. There may be hundreds of religions. Let that be. There is no harm so long as they remember that they all have one goal, which is perfection. It is religion that gives man perfection.
নমস্কার। বিশেষ খবর হলো রাষ্ট্রপতি ডক্টর শঙ্কর দয়াল শর্মা ঐক্যবদ্ধ ভারত গঠনে দেশের যুব সমাজের প্রতি স্বামীজির আদর্শ অনুসরণের আহ্বান জানিয়েছেন। দেশের মূল্যবান শিল্প সামগ্রী ও সংস্কৃতি নিদর্শন বিদেশে পাচার রোধে রাষ্ট্রপতি জনসাধারণকে সতর্ক থাকতে বলেছেন। মাদার টেরেসাকে আজ হাসপাতাল থেকে ছেড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে। ভারতের প্রথম মেরু উপগ্রহ উৎক্ষেপক যান PSLVর যাত্রা 24 ঘন্টার জন্য স্থগিত রাখা হয়েছে। প্রধানমন্ত্রী শ্রী PV নরসিমহা রাও 3 দিনের ইরান সফরে আগামীকাল তেহরান যাচ্ছেন। রাষ্ট্রপতি ডক্টর শঙ্কর দয়াল শর্মা শক্তিশালী ও ঐক্যবদ্ধ ভারত গড়ার কাজে স্বামীজির আদর্শে উদ্বুদ্ধ হতে দেশের যুব সমাজের প্রতি আহ্বান জানিয়েছেন। আজ কলকাতায় নেতাজি ইন্ডোর স্টেডিয়ামে রামকৃষ্ণ মঠ ও মিশন আয়োজিত ধর্ম সংসদের সমাপ্তি দিবসের অনুষ্ঠানে ভাষণ দিতে গিয়ে রাষ্ট্রপতি এই আহ্বান জানান। ডক্টর শর্মা বলেন যে দেশের সাম্প্রদায়িকতা এখন সামনে সবচেয়ে বড় সমস্যা। এই সমস্যার মোকাবিলায় দেশবাসীর মধ্যে সম্প্রীতি ও সংহতি চেতনা গড়ে তোলার জন্য ঐক্য ও ন্যায় প্রতিষ্ঠার লক্ষ্যে এগিয়ে যেতে হবে। রবীন্দ্রনাথের উদ্ধৃতি দিয়ে রাষ্ট্রপতি বলেন, ভারতকে জানতে হলে ভারত পথিক বিবেকানন্দকে জানা দরকার।
For the world as it is torn asunder by various forces in the world.
রাজ্যপাল শ্রী কে.ভি. রঘুনাথ রেড্ডি তার ভাষণে সামাজিক ঐক্য প্রতিষ্ঠার লক্ষ্যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শ ও চিন্তা অনুসরণ করার কথা বলেন। তিনি বলেন, দেশের বিকাশের জন্য আমাদের মূল্যবোধকে জাগিয়ে তুলতে হবে। রামকৃষ্ণ মঠ ও মিশনের সহসভাপতি স্বামী রঙ্গনাথানন্দজি স্বামী বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শের প্রাসঙ্গিকতার উল্লেখ করে বলেন যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে চরিত্র গঠনের মাধ্যমে আমরা বিকাশের লক্ষ্যে পৌঁছতে পারব।
Money energy, natural resources energy, this will become absolutely meaningless if there is no character energy to create real greatness. We are lacking it today.
I have been admirer of Swami
মাদ্রাজ হাইকোর্টের প্রাক্তন প্রধান বিচারপতি শ্রী M. ইসমাইল বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে ধর্মনিরপেক্ষতার উল্লেখ করে বলেন যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে কোনো ধর্মীয় সংকীর্ণতা ছিল না। আজকের অনুষ্ঠানে বহু বিশিষ্ট ব্যক্তি উপস্থিত ছিলেন। এদের মধ্যে ছিলেন স্বামী লোকেশ্বরানন্দ, স্বামী আত্মস্থানন্দ এবং বিশ্বভারতীর উপাচার্য অধ্যাপক সব্যসাচী ভট্টাচার্য। राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर शंकर दयाल शर्मा विदेश
प्रगति में बाधा उत्पन्न हो रही है तथा कई अन्य बुराइयां भी समाज में पैदा हो रही हैं। डॉक्टर शंकर दयाल शर्मा आज कलकत्ता के नेताजी इंडोर स्टेडियम में रामकृष्ण मठ और रामकृष्ण मिशन द्वारा आयोजित धर्म संसद के समापन सत्र में बोल रहे थे। इसका आयोजन स्वामी विवेकानंद के शिकागो में दिए गए ऐतिहासिक भाषण की शताब्दी के सिलसिले में किया गया था। राष्ट्रपति ने कहा कि कोई भी धर्म सांप्रदायिकता की भावना का समर्थन नहीं करता। ये न सिर्फ देश के लिए अभिशाप है बल्कि इससे भारत का बुरा चाहने वाली ताकतों को फायदा होता है। स्वामी विवेकानंद के विचारों से उदाहरण देते हुए डॉक्टर शर्मा ने कहा कि हम एक ऐसा धर्म चाहते हैं जो हमें आत्मविश्वास तथा राष्ट्र के प्रति गौरव की भावना प्रदान करे। इससे पहले आज सुबह राष्ट्रपति ने कलकत्ता में भारतीय संग्रहालय के एनेक्सी भवन की आधारशिला रखी। इस अवसर पर अपने भाषण में उन्होंने कहा कि देश की प्राचीन सांस्कृतिक धरोहर की चीजों को विदेशों में बेचने की गलत प्रवृत्ति पर तुरंत रोक लगाई जानी चाहिए। उन्होंने सुझाव दिया कि दुर्लभ कलाकृतियों की फोटो और अनुकृतियां विदेशों को भेजी जा सकती हैं।
राष्ट्रपति এই আহ্বান জানান। ডক্টর শর্মা বলেন যে সাম্প্রদায়িকতা এখন দেশের সামনে সবচেয়ে বড় সমস্যা। এই সমস্যার মোকাবিলায় দেশবাসীর মধ্যে সম্প্রীতি ও সংহতি চেতনা গড়ে তুলে ঐক্য ন্যায় প্রতিষ্ঠার লক্ষ্যে এগিয়ে যেতে হবে। রবীন্দ্রনাথের উদ্ধৃতি দিয়ে রাষ্ট্রপতি বলেন, ভারতকে জানতে হলে ভারত পথিক বিবেকানন্দকে জানা দরকার।
Which is more than timely for the world as it is torn asunder by various forces in the world.
রাজ্যপাল শ্রী কে.ভি. রঘুনাথ রেড্ডি তার ভাষণে সামাজিক ঐক্য প্রতিষ্ঠার লক্ষ্যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শ চিন্তা অনুসরণ করার কথা বলেন। তিনি বলেন, দেশের বিকাশের জন্য আমাদের মূল্যবোধকে জাগিয়ে তুলতে হবে। রামকৃষ্ণ মঠ ও মিশনের সহ সভাপতি স্বামী রঙ্গনাথানন্দজি স্বামী বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শের প্রাসঙ্গিকতার উল্লেখ করে বলেন যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে চরিত্র গঠনের মাধ্যমে আমরা বিকাশের লক্ষ্যে পৌঁছতে পারব।
This will become absolutely meaningless if there is no character energy to create real greatness. We are lacking it today.
I have been admirer of Swami Vivekananda.
মাদ্রাজ হাইকোর্টের প্রাক্তন প্রধান বিচারপতি শ্রী M. ইসমাইল বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে ধর্মনিরপেক্ষতার উল্লেখ করে বলেন যে বিবেকানন্দের আদর্শে কোনো ধর্মীয় সংকীর্ণতা ছিল না।
Department of Religion in Chicago 100 years ago.
আজকের অনুষ্ঠানে বহু বিশিষ্ট ব্যক্তি উপস্থিত ছিলেন। এদের মধ্যে ছিলেন স্বামী লোকেশ্বরানন্দ, স্বামী আত্মস্থানন্দ এবং বিশ্বভারতীর উপাচার্য অধ্যাপক সব্যসাচী ভট্টাচার্য। রাষ্ট্রপতি ডক্টর শঙ্কর দয়াল
त्वयोश्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये
Religions organized in Calcutta on the 11th, 12th, 18th and the 19th of September 1993. This was held to commemorate the centenary of Swamiji's addresses at the Chicago Parliament of Religions in 1893. Over 100 scholars from 20 countries participated in this parliament. On the concluding day, that is the 19th, the list of speakers included the President of India, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma.
I thank the Ramakrishna Mission for associating me with this conference, which is more than timely for the world as it is torn asunder by various forces in the world. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's perceptions about Swami Vivekananda, as these bear special interest. He had said, I quote, I was not a child when he passed away, but I could not see him as I studied in Europe those days, but whatever he has spoken or written, I have read. I would say, you must read them, and having read, you must analyze them in your mind. He had a flame in each of his words. He had a flame in each of his words. There was fire in his heart, the fire of a great personality, putting his heart and soul into the words he uttered. Many of my generation were very powerfully influenced by him. He was, I think, one of the great founders of the national modern movement of India, and a great number of people who took more or less active part in that movement drew their inspiration from Swami Vivekananda. Directly or indirectly, he has powerfully influenced the India of today. And I think the younger generation will take advantage of this foundation, this fountain of wisdom, of a spirit and fire that flows through Swami Vivekananda. This is what but Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said. And what he said is true for our generation today and the coming generations also. The theme of your conference has been the commemoration of the Chicago addresses of Swami Vivekananda during the Parliament of Religions in September 1893. In his address, Swami Vivekananda had articulated the ancient wisdom and insights of India, the time-honored philosophy of oneness and harmony within pluralism, the recognition of, respect for, and acceptance of different paths of logical and intuitive access to the absolute truths. He had quoted the famous lines from the Rig Veda, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one. Swami Vivekananda had also come out strongly against sectarianism, bigotry, and fanaticism, and had registered the hope that these narrow, futile, and erroneous tendencies would disappear. Every word of his exposition needs to be recalled by us and pondered over. In his subsequent address on 15 September 1893, he explained the causes of narrowness, and in a truly profound address 100 years back, on 19 September 1893, he explained many salient features and recesses of the Vedic and Vedantic body of thought and defined the characteristics of a religion whose whole scope, I am quoting, whose whole scope, whole force will be centered in aiding humanity to realize its own true nature, unquote. I feel Swami Vivekananda's words concerning the inner onenesses of doctrines of all religions should fully be comprehended by each one of us. Indeed, the identity of thought, the oneness in ethical and moral codes of different religions need to be explained, understood, and absorbed. Every religion, for example, stresses the importance of service. There is a dictum, Sarvashasa Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanam Dhruvam Paropkarastu Punyaya Papaya Parpidanam. That is, he says, amongst all scriptures and Puranas, know this statement of Vyasa to be true, that doing good to others conduces to merit and doing harm to them leads to sin. Compare this with the Christian injunction. I quote, know thou that in the service of thy fellow man do thou serveth me, unquote. And the Islamic warning, not mere profession of the faith, but good works and service of fellow men is true prayer. There are innumerable such illustrations that could and should be compiled to foster understanding of the mutuality of apparently different religions. The communal outlook is not supported by the doctrine and tenets of any religion. In fact, every religion truly serves the cause of oneness, harmony, understanding, and cooperation. The communal outlook helps none in our country. Not even those who are any misguided purpose may seek to derive advantages to themselves from it. Communalism is a bane of our country and a boon only to forces inimical to India, inimical to human progress. We must realize that this is one problem which is essentially in the hands of the people of our country and its leaders to solve. The eradication of communalism can be achieved by our fortifying our minds against communal thought, word and deed, and by our being determined to resist and to overcome such elements as may persist in pressing communal mindedness on us. If India is to grow to her full potential as a strong, united, prosperous nation, a nation attuned to the highest moral and ethical values, true to the genius of our cultural and spiritual heritage, we shall all have to strive each day to build harmony, justice, and creative endeavor. Indeed, in a very real way, it is our duty so to strive. The youth of our country must be in the vanguard of this mission. Let us recall the stirring words of Swami Vivekananda in Calcutta on his return from America. I quote, be strong and everything else will follow. You have to do the task. If I die tomorrow, the work will not die. There will be thousands coming up to take up the work and carry it further and further. I have faith in my country, and especially in the youth of my country. From the youth of Bengal will come the power which will raise India once more to a proper spiritual place, unquote. It is the faith expressed by Swami Vivekananda among the young people, the people of India, people of Bengal in particular, I mentioned because I am speaking Calcutta. Friends, I thank you once again for having invited me to be with you today. I pay my respectful, humble homage to the immortal memory of Swami Vivekananda. May his words guide the human race. Thank you. Yes.
Swami Atmasthananda, General Secretary, Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission.
Swamiji was the first religious leader in India to speak for the poor masses. He visualized a new India arising out of the peasants' cottages, out of the huts of fishermen, out of the slums of cobblers and sweepers. His fiery eloquence stirred the consciousness of thousands of educated Indians and inspired them to dedicate their lives to the service of the country, especially to the service of the poor.
Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj, Vice President, Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission.
One energy which alone can make every other energy function well, character energy. Money energy, natural resources energy, these will become absolutely meaningless if there is no character energy to create real greatness. We are lacking it today. Swamiji constantly emphasized this idea of character, and it comes from manifestation of the divinity that is already within you. You are not this genetic system only. Behind this genetic system, there is something infinite, something pure and holy. The infinite Atman is there in every human being. This, when you begin to manifest, love, compassion, character energy, efficiency of work, all these things will come. It is your inherent right. In every human being it is there. That is the practical Vedanta Swamiji has given to us for helping to make this nation overcome its weaknesses and develop into a powerful nation, powerful for doing good to the world, for giving great ideas to the world, which it has done all through history. That is Amar Bharat, which is our great India, which is still alive, and it is made more alive by the advent of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda.
Speech by Mr. George Fremont, Indologist, former Consul General of the Republic of France to India.
In today's world, where we see coexisting violence and greediness for material wealth of some, with an intolerable misery of the vast majority, where a ruthless struggle opposes fundamentalists and liberals within the great religions in Europe and other continents, what remains of the teachings of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda?
Dr. R.B. Rybakov, Deputy Director, Institute of Oriental Studies, Moscow.
What is that harmony you are talking about? What harmony can you find in this world? Violent, intolerant, full of crimes, criminal world actually. Well, the simplest answer would be read Vivekananda. Harmony is hardly exist. We know harmony in relations between man and man, man and woman, the grown-ups and children, between old and new, between nation and nation, and what is probably the most important, inside the man himself. There is no harmony. So again, Vivekananda shows us the aim. Vivekananda shows us the path.
We may question ourselves whether we have fully realized the significance of that moment, that effort to reconstruct Hinduism. I believe we have to go beyond mere emotional fuzziness to ask and to answer that question.
The world is faced with crisis after crisis of conflicts, bigotry, religious fundamentalism. These are all the diseases that are spreading in the world. And ultimately, all the pathology of it can be traced to the crisis in value system and the values that should abide.
Once you say Ekam Sat, whether you call that Sat by whatever name, the Sat continues to be what it is. Nobody can change its character, nobody can change its nature. If that be the case, the creation also continues to be one creation, that is the creation of the cosmic and the essential basic spirit from which all the other creatures emanate.
A call for harmony, a call for peace, a call for better understanding amongst peoples of the world. That is how this Parliament of Religions ended. Throughout the 4 days, the message that echoed was one of harmony.
Peace and harmony is the natural order of the world. It is derived from the harmonious working of nature. And if I may say so as an economist, it is also derived from the harmonious working of the world of economic transactions. In fact, we find that it is in the interest of everyone that peaceful transactions should go on, and it can even be claimed that the more commercial intercourse is there between nations, the smaller are the chances and risks of international conflicts and wars.
As a student of history, I would say India could never opt to be a secular state unless the soil had been prepared for centuries by the fundamentals of Hinduism and other faiths. One surgical advice is to make an all-out effort to turn people away from religion and spirituality. The argument is, if this cancerous root is removed, all violence, hatred and injustice would be ended.
Swamiji said that a man journeying toward the sun takes a photograph at every stage. Not two are alike, but these are all photographs of the same sun. Therefore, we are to recognize all the great spiritual men and women in every age and every country and see that they are not at variance with one another.
Vivekananda said that the new India shall come from the farmer's plough, the fisherman's net, from the freighters of the fruit sellers, and those belonging to the higher class or higher caste shall be wiped off with their jewels and jewelry, and the proletariat shall rise.
Vivekananda observed that all the religions, from the lowest fetishism to the highest absolutism, mean so many attempts of the human soul to grasp and realize the infinite, each determined by the conditions of its birth and association, and each of them marking a step of progress. We gather all these flowers, he added, and bind them with the twine of love, making a wonderful bouquet of worship. Let us try to understand Vivekananda's idea of universal religion in terms of this idea of a bouquet of worship.
Some have argued that Swami Vivekananda was an inclusivist, but it is my contention that he was a pluralist. His thought consequently promotes the harmony of religions.
Last week, one old lady, not in good health and who doesn't know English, insisted that she should be taken to this Parliament of Religions. Relatives discouraged her, but she was determined, so they had to bring her here on the 11th. Her companions were sure that she would never continue beyond the lunch break, but no, she stayed throughout, and the next morning was up and ready before the others. When questioned as to what she understood, she charged back. What? Didn't you feel the atmosphere, the spirit of harmony, the bliss? I felt blessed sitting there. You people are so materialistic. You don't understand the value of the elevating thought current created in such gatherings. That is something more than the words spoken.
Swami Vivekananda was a combination of Viveka and Anand. Really, Vivek means awaken and Anand, blissful. In his entire life, he devoted himself to awakening others and encouraging people to lead a blissful life. Sikhs believe in the same way, and if I may say with great respect, that Swamiji furthered the great teachings of our great gurus, which are embodied in Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the spiritual scripture of Sikhs.
Swamiji enlightened all on the harmony and love that exists in the truth of religion, the unity of the one, the brotherhood of mankind. That is from where all of us have to try to reach to higher goals thus set by Swamiji before us. That would be the real true honoring of Swamiji.
Religion can also be a strong ally of peace and cooperation. The basis for this is the concept of tolerance. May I quote Swami Vivekananda, "No civilization can long exist unless this idea enter into it."
We find that all major world religions, whether it's Christianity, Hindu, Buddhist, or whatsoever, it directs us to achieve of permanent human happiness. All religion emphasizes that the follower must be honest and gentle. In other words, that a truly religious person must always strive to be a better human being.
Swami Vivekananda's conception of harmony in regard to religion was to accept the rights of religion to follow their own path and recognize the same right for others in view of the fact that all religions lead to the same goal.
Has it seen harmony that Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda wanted to achieve? How an unfortunate incident like the raging of the Babri Mosque could take place in a democratic and secular polity like India. I raise these jarring questions only to draw attention to the downslide that has overtaken us from where once was raised the clarion call for tolerance and harmony. Under such circumstances of painful reality, we are reminded of the critical relevance of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda.
Swamiji said, I quote, "Among the people of this region, there is a large body of superstitious customs about eating, drinking, and ritual cleanliness, which passes for religion, and these to them are the last word in religion. Poor people. The wicked and cunning priests teach them that all these meaningless rituals and buffooneries are the quintessence of Hinduism and the Vedas." Commenting on the 19th century preoccupation of some Hindus with the discovery of scientific reasons for various popular superstitions, he declared, "Does one have to provide scientific explanation even for your idiocies?" His entire ideology, religious ideology, was summed up in one simple statement: there are as many ways as there are opinions. Joto mat, toto pot.
No one can find a chance to fully understand another. And there is no continuity from the older to the younger generations in terms of their traditions and their moral and spiritual legacies. Ultimately, human life is deprived of what is most meaningful and substantial. What is therefore missing in our life is a kind of human contact that finds its best expression in the form of service. Since by service it meant giving and taking.
The spiritual power and love for humanity that pervades Sri Ramakrishna's life and teaching, and also the remarkable personality, invaluable writings, and persistent works of his beloved disciple Swami Vivekananda have also given guidance in a subtle way to all those who seek to realize these ideals of perfection and harmony in their lives, knowingly or unknowingly. Such is the greatness of the living spiritual heritage of India, that Swami Vivekananda and other sages of India share with the West, or rather I should say with anyone in search of it, because there East and West are no more separate. I am convinced that it is also because of the impact of the deep compassion and this guidance of great sages of India that the world has been led towards more unity and peace.
What were the impressions of the participants to this parliament?
It was so great, so wonderful, so sophisticated. It's impossible to explain, right?
All the religions throughout the world, if they can follow the concept of harmony of Vivekananda's
impressions of the participants to this parliament.
It was so great, so wonderful, so sophisticated. It's impossible to explain, right?
All the religions throughout the world, if they can follow the concept of harmony of Vivekananda's kind of thought, it will be beneficial for the harmonious relationship among different religions.
This conference and convention will definitely have an impact on the people of any country, and particularly Sri Lanka, which is a multiracial, multilingual and multi-religious country.
Today we are all cut up and fragmented because our religions have become isms. Yes. From them we must transform them into living principles. That is dharma. So Christu dharma, yes. Hindu dharma, Islam dharma. Then we will understand what real spirituality means.
I have come here to remember Swamiji.
Swamiji had once said, if the Parliament of Religions has shown anything to the world, it is this. It has proved to the world that holiness, purity and charity are not the exclusive possessions of any church in the world, and that every system has produced men and women of the most exalted character. In the face of this evidence, if anybody dreams of the exclusive survival of his own religion and the destruction of the others, I pity him from the bottom of my heart and point out to him that upon the banner of every religion will soon be written, in spite of resistance, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension.
Music is the most powerful force in the universe. Vibration resulting from devotional singing leads to attunement with the cosmic vibration, or the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was Om. Om.